Hello, my dear students. Good morning and welcome to this new class. And we are dealing with a very important topic, that is about law and social justice. We found that government makes different law according to the need of the society to help the affected community. And therefore, in this lesson, law and social justice, we are dealing with how different sections of the people, especially the poor, uh, peasants or farmers or contract workers, daily laborers, factory workers, how they are affected or how they are exploited by their officers or their managers and so on. So in order to protect them, government has made certain laws, and about some of those laws we dealt with yesterday. And today we shall continue with some more laws that government has made in order to protect the rights of the people. Let us see in the page number 122, 122, and there we shall see the column. So many columns are there, and in that we shall see the fourth column about a law that is made. So the law requiring that the prices of essential goods are not high. So the government has made a law that the prices of the essential things, that means the essential things that are used by the people, for example, sugar, kerosene, food grains and so on, they are essential for the people, especially the ordinary people, the common people depend heavily on these things. So government has made a law that these manufacturing companies, they should not raise the price of these essential things beyond a certain limit. Government has fixed the rate, it should not go above that. So that is the rule government has made. And certainly you will know who are the people using kerosene, who are the people will be affected when the price of the rice and other food grains is very high. It is the poor people who are affected. So in order to protect the interests of the poor sections of the society, government has made this law that the price of the essential things should not be too high. That is to help the poor people. And why it is necessary? If it is not necessary, the big companies or the middlemen or the shopkeepers, they can simply increase the price of these essential things and the poor people will be deprived of that. If the price is too high, the poor people will not be able to buy it and they will be suffering. They will be deprived of these essential things in their life. So in order to help them, in order to protect them from being exploited, from being deprived of these essential things in their life, government has made this law. Then there is another law requiring that factories do not pollute air or water. So another rule that government has made, and this rule is meant for people who are owning factories, people who are running factories, and people who run these factories or operate these factories. They have to make sure that the air pollution does not occur because of their factory, the water pollution does not occur because of their factory. So the factories, they have to make sure that their waste is not sent into the river, or the smoke that comes, it does not pollute the air and so on. So why this law is necessary? We know the factories, they are helpful to the people, they provide employment, but at the same time people who are living around this factory or in that vicinity of the factory, what happens very often? The factories, they do not care for the health of the people. They try to make maximum profit for themselves. And so the best way to discharge the waste from the factory is push them into the river or water channels. And also the amount of smoke that it is producing, especially when they are using coal and other charcoal and other things which pollute the air. The so much of smoke is there, and the people who are living in that surrounding of the factory, their health is affected because they go on breathing this harmful air. They go on breathing this polluted air. They go on using this polluted water, and it affects the health of the people. It is true that factories are providing employment, but they should not spoil the health of the people. So health is more important than employment. And so the factories, it is their responsibility to make sure that the wastewater is not directly sent into the river, but it is purified and then sent into the river. Without purifying, they should not send it to the river. So it is all the responsibility of the factory owner. And by making this law, government is protecting the interests of the people, especially the poor people, the laborers who are living in that vicinity, in that surrounding of the factory. Their health is important for the government. Then there is another law government has made, laws against child labor in workplaces. So this law is in order to protect the children from being exploited. We know in our country, if you go to many places, we can see children below 14 years of age are employed in the factories as the domestic workers and so on. So according to the law of the country, it is completely against to use children who are below 14 years of age for employment. They are supposed to go to school and learn, because elementary education up to the age of 14 is compulsory in India. So without allowing them to go to the school, without giving them opportunity to go to the school, employing them, making them to work from morning till evening, that is against the law, and those people can be punished. And it is necessary. Why is it necessary? Because if this law is not there, many people will like to call the children to come and work, especially children from the poor families. They are not able to go to school because their house is in starvation, we can say. There is not enough food for the people, and therefore their parents will say, if you don't go to the school also, okay, go to the field, go and work, or go to the factory and do some work and get some money. And the people are interested in calling children to work because they will always obey, and enough to give them little money. If a big grown-up person comes, he will demand for better wages, full pay, and so on. But if the children come, enough to give them something, small amount of money, they will be happy. But they will be doing from morning till evening a lot of works. So many people like the children to invite them to work, and in order to benefit for themselves, in order to bring benefit for themselves, not for the children, not for the family. And in that way, they are spoiling the life of the children, we can say, because they don't get education when they are young. Afterwards, they will never be able to go to school and so on. So it is to protect the interests of the children, the future generation of our country. You can imagine, if all the children go to the factory and start working, they will never get education, and the future of our country will be at stake. There will be a generation, there will be a population without proper education. So that will be a very dangerous thing for us. Then another law is there, to form workers union and associations. So government has made a law that the workers, they can form union, or they can form association, they can form groups. Why? Because when they come together as a group, they have better strength. They can as a combined force, as a union, they can demand for better privileges, better facilities, and so on. If one worker is standing alone and demanding, then his demands may not be accepted. But if all the workers come together, then their demands may be accepted by the management. So that is the reason why this law is accepted. were formed. So if this law is not there, then the management, they can simply deny the workers their privileges, the opportunities, the provisions and so on, and they will be simply given very little pay and they will be dismissed anytime when the manager wants. But it makes clear that the union is helping by forming the union. The members of the union, that is the workers, they have got better privileges, they have got better opportunities to demand or to claim certain things. Then by making this law, the government is protecting the interests of which group? Protecting the interests of the workers of a factory, workers of uh, different companies and so on. So it is to protect the people, the daily laborers mainly. So we find government has made a lot of laws. Lot of laws are formed by the government so that there will be protection for all kinds of people. We saw the people, the laws, different laws are meant for different people, for workers, for children, for employees, for everybody. Every section of the society is covered under different laws so that they are protected, so that they are given opportunity to not to be exploited, to live their life in the normal way. So no one is allowed to exploit another person, no one is allowed to take advantage of another person, but everyone has their rights as well. So if we protect the lives, rights of others, then our rights also will be protected, and the law guarantees that. So we are fortunate that we are living in a democratic country where the law is supreme, where the law is ruling, and let us hope that this will continue, that every section of the society, whether rich or poor, workers or owners, workers or managers, all will have their own rights and nobody will infringe, nobody will violate their laws. That is what let us hope for. Now we know that government has made so many laws. So just by making law, that is the duty of the parliament, to make law. So just by making laws, the work or the duty, the responsibility of the government is not over. What they have to do? The government has to make sure that the laws are implemented. Just passing a law in the parliament is not enough. It is a duty of the responsibility of the government to check that these laws are implemented properly. And this means that the law must be enforced. So whose responsibility is to enforce the law? So when the law seeks to protect the weak from the strong, for instance, to ensure that every worker gets fair wages, the government has to regularly inspect work sites and punish those who violate the law. So how do the government implement the law or enforce the law? So the law is established, the law is passed in the parliament, and the government has to make sure its officers like polices and other officers, they go around inspecting whether anywhere the law is violated or not. So the police, it is not enough that they just sit in the police station and just wait. If anybody coming for complaint, then I will take action. Otherwise, I will not. So that is not the way. They have to make inquiry on their own. Go around and see if there is any violation is there or not. If there is anybody is employing children to work in the factory or not. Whether any factory workers are paid, not paid their wages or not. So all these things they have to implement, and if anybody is found violating this law, then what they have to do? They have to punish those people who are violating the law, so that it will be a lesson for others as well. They also will be stopped from manipulating the others' rights or violating others' rights and so on. So it is one of the biggest responsibilities of the government and the police and other officers to check whether anybody is violating the law, and if they are violating, then punish them. Then when workers are poor or powerless, The fear of losing future earnings or facing reprisals often forces them to accept low wages. So, when these workers are poor, when they are poor, or when they are powerless, what will the company owners, the factory owners do? They will say, we will give you low wages. If you are not happy, you can go. So these poor people, they'll think, if we lose the job here, then afterwards nothing else to do and we cannot survive. So they'll say, okay, little wage also, okay, we will accept, we will manage with that. So that way their situation is being exploited, because they are poor, because they are powerless, nobody is there to demand for them, and so they even ready to work for low wages. So it is a responsibility of the government to find out such kind of employers who are who are violating the rights of the workers, who are exploiting the workers by paying them low wages and so on, and give punishment to those people and bring justice to the workers. And through making, enforcing, and upholding the laws, the government can control activities of individuals or private companies so as to ensure social justice. So, by we are talking about in this lesson about social justice, law and social justice. So, how can this law help us to uphold social justice? Three things are needed. One is to make the law. First thing is make the law. Then second one is we have to enforce the law. Then third one is upholding the law. So these three things are required in order to bring social justice to the society. So unless these three things are done, we cannot have social justice being upheld. So we said making the law is in the parliament, and enforcing the law and upholding the law, it is the duty of the police, the executives, and so on. They have to go around and see whether this law is upheld or not, or anybody is violating the law or not. It is their duty, their responsibility. And many of these laws have their basis in the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution. We know there are six rights are there, fundamental rights, which are guaranteed in the Constitution of India, and we have to make sure that all these rights are protected. All these rights are protected so that everyone will be able to carry on their life the way, using the rights that are provided in the Constitution of India. Then, for instance, the right against exploitation says that no one can be forced to work for low wages under bondage. So we are allowed to work freely, not under bondage, not like a slave. So we are supposed to work freely and use our freedom, and we are not supposed to reduce our wages. What is normal wage we are supposed to get, we have the right to demand for that. Then similarly, the Constitution lays down, no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mines or engage in any other hazardous employment. So we already said that children up to the age of 14, they are supposed to go to school and attain the elementary education. So if they are employed in the factory or in the coal mine fields or any other hazardous hazardous means dangerous, where the life is risky, they can lose their life, very dangerous situation where they are working, or that is not allowed. They are completely forbidden to use children below the 14 years of age for using all this purpose. That will be completely forbidden. Then how are these laws played out in practice? To what extent do they address the concerns of social justice? These are some of the questions that this chapter will now go on to explore. So in the next class we shall see how these laws that are made in the country, how are they addressing the concerns of social justice. Many people in India are still facing the concern, the injustice. Their rights are not met, their rights are not fulfilled, they are not able to live their life freely. So a lot of problems are there in spite of all these laws made. So let us continue in the next class how the government will try to solve the people who are affected by this wrong practice, wrong situation, or a wrong implementation of the policy and the law and so on. Then we will know how the system has failed, or how the government has failed to uphold the laws and so on. So we shall see it in detail in the next class. So thank you for listening and have a nice day. Bye.